Welcome to the Window Wisdom Podcast, your guide to replacement windows and more. Hi, I'm your host, Ted Kirk, and I'm here with Rebecca, our producer, and this is episode number 27. It's been a while since we've done our last podcast.
It has. I'm not sure how long, but we're excited to be back at it.
Well, it has not been a long time since we've seen today's topic, which is the problem with dark vinyl windows.
No, we see this a lot, and we actually have a new case study coming out, so we'll link that below of one of our customers had this problem, and we were able to take pictures and discuss more of it, but we'll link it in the podcast description below. So
perfect.
But basically, Ted, on this topic, we've got some questions, and I just want to ask you them and talk about the problem that we're seeing out there with dark vinyl windows. So can you, before we get into the problem, can you discuss some of the design aspects of dark colored windows against light colored homes? I'm sure everyone's been seeing this trend. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. This is a very popular option right now. We are seeing it as a design trend. However, I don't think it's just a trend that's going to go away. I relate the dark colors, meaning black and bronze, is classic colors similar to your earth tones, your white and grays and the browns that we've seen for years. So I think that this is going to be something that is going to be with us for a while. So if that's the case, then people need to know how to make good decisions when it comes to choosing these type of windows for their homes.
Gotcha. And, if I'm a homeowner and I'm liking this dark colored trend, what are some of the different types of windows that I can get in these dark colors? And then, in addition, how is that color applied to the window frame?
Sure. We'll talk about just a few different primary window types that we can get these colors in. One would be a wood window. So traditionally, you put in a wood window, you paint it. We obviously know in our climate the problems with wood windows, meaning that cycle is going to go on and on. There's a lot of upkeep, a lot of moisture content in the air. So we see a lot of rot that we deal with wood windows, but easily paintable, and you can change the color pretty easy when it comes to wood windows. The evolution of wood windows is actually aluminum clad. So the aluminum clad does come in dark colors, and this is still a traditional wood window. So you could experience the expansion and contraction and moisture issues. Obviously, you're just finishing the inside, and generally those aluminum clad windows have a more durable finish. They're either powder coated or some type of special coating that's required for the aluminum that's on the exterior of the windows. Probably the most prevalent window that we see in our market is vinyl, which is a plastic material that it is extruded, so it doesn't come in these colors, so they have to use a special type of paint for it to adhere to the vinyl, and that's primarily what our podcast is about today. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but basically the windows are built white, and then they paint them these dark colors. So you can imagine if it does get scratched, which it could happen very easily, you are going to see that white behind the dark color come out pretty easily. And then the final product that we definitely want to talk about is fiberglass. And our fiberglass windows actually have a process that Marvin came up with called Ultrex, where they actually apply the coating into the manufacturing process. And Ultrex is actually 3 times thicker than paint. It's a lot more durable. It's fade resistant. So there's just many advantages to having this type of finish, especially with dark colors.
Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about some of the different types of window materials, let's get into the not so fun part, but why people are here. What are we seeing? Like, what are some of the problems that we're seeing with these dark colored windows, particularly the dark vinyl windows?
Sure. Well, we've already discussed the wood. Everybody knows the upkeep and the maintenance required on wood windows. And I'll briefly discuss, I had a situation at a home show a few years ago where a gentleman came up to me and said, we want to get our windows replaced because our windows are pink. And I said, well, did you choose pink? And he said, no, we actually put in a dark burgundy color, but the aluminum clad finish had faded on their windows so bad that they had turned pink. And now they're faced with trying to refinish them, which is kind of a catch-22 because their warranty explicitly says you cannot paint the aluminum clad on the windows. So they're either forced with the pink windows, or they're going to have to try to come up with a special type of paint to refinish them, and then obviously void the warranty that they may have on their windows. So with vinyl, what we see, particularly with dark colors in general, dark colors are going to draw the heat. And the problem with vinyl, with it being a plastic material, and we can talk a little bit more about the science, it's going to move, distort, warp, change shape, and it's really not going to go back into that shape. So when it does change shape, it's going to lose its efficiency. It can even then start to leak water or air, not open and close properly, not latch properly. We just see this. We see it with light colored vinyl windows as well. So you can imagine with the dark colors that this problem is even more so amplified because of the heat that the dark color is drawing in. So,
and something else that I kind of want to point out with that case study that I mentioned earlier, one of our homeowners, he had only had his windows in for, I think, 5 months. So it's not something that, okay, I'll get dark vinyl windows and then, 5 years down the road, I could be faced with these problems. It could be something that you see, in this case, less than a year. It was a brand new home.
That's exactly right. And it can happen, if it can happen over one summer because of the surface temperature. The surface temperature of a dark color vinyl window, or any window for that matter, could get over 200 degrees. Well, vinyl is going to start to distort at a much lower temperature than that. So yeah, it could happen within 2 months if you put them in the right season and you have the right type of exposure, meaning full western or southwestern exposure, where they're getting a lot of heat during the day, especially in these newer homes where they're taking down all the trees in the neighborhood. They don't have any shade on the house to protect it as well. So that can be happening very quickly.
Well, you answered, that was going to be my next question. At what temperature does vinyl warp? But are there different qualities of vinyl, and does that make a difference? So someone may say, okay, well, I can get a better quality vinyl window and not face these problems.
We've definitely encountered that. There are different qualities of vinyl windows, but let me just speak to the science of vinyl. Vinyl is what we call a thermoplastic material. And listen, I am not a scientist. I probably made a C in chemistry, but I got by. But I do know the difference between thermoplastics versus a thermoset material. Thermoset is going to be more like your glass. So vinyl and most of the composites out there are these thermoplastics, which basically means they're affected by heat and cold. They can change shape based on extreme temperatures. Where thermoset, it's very unlikely that the heat and cold is going to affect them. Fiberglass is a thermoset material. Not to say that it couldn't, but the temperature, is going to need to reach, 300 degrees Fahrenheit or more. And we just kind of joke around. If that happens, we're really not going to be worried about our windows, right? For sure. Yes.
So you mentioned fiberglass is a thermoset material. So would you say fiberglass is the ultimate window solution, no matter what color a homeowner may want to go with for their windows?
Absolutely. Particularly if you're going to be in your home for a little while and you do not want to have to do this project again. Fiberglass is going to withstand the harsh temperatures that we do have in Georgia. The other thing we talked about, painting, people change their mind. They resell their homes. Everybody has different preferences when it comes to colors. So a huge advantage that we have is our fiberglass is a paintable option. Just like we talked about with the aluminum clad earlier, most of your vinyl warranties, matter of fact, everyone I've ever seen says do not paint the vinyl. If you paint the vinyl yourself, you will void the warranty. Not to mention, it's not going to paint very well. So the paint adhesion is not going to be good with that substrate. And particularly if you're painting it a darker color, you're going to draw more heat to it, and you're going to experience some of the issues that we've talked about. So with the fiberglass, dark colors are definitely not a problem. And some of our most popular options right now are black windows.
Black and bronze, I feel
black
like
and
are
bronze.
the two most common colors right now.
And they look really, really good, especially, as you mentioned earlier, against a lighter colored home, that it really makes it pop. And not only can we do that on the exterior, we can also do that on the interior of the home as well, which really frames up some nice picturesque views.
Okay. Well, is there anything else, Ted, as we kind of wrap up this episode that you think our listeners would want to know about windows and choosing colors?
Well, listen, I don't want people to think we're just bashing vinyl windows, because we have sold so many over the years. Fortunately, we do not offer vinyl windows anymore. We only offer the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows, but there are some advantages. Vinyl windows are obviously very economical, but I would just say don't expect it to be a permanent solution. We could kind of say in our industry, vinyl is not final. No matter what the warranty, the typical home is going to have 30 or so windows. You do not want to be chasing these warranty claims. And I can just tell you, because they are so prevalent in our market, most of the manufacturers have been very difficult getting these warranty claims processed and put through, because again, it's not anything they're making money on. And that's one of the primary reasons that we got out of the vinyl window business, because we did experience a lot of service activity that we do not experience now with the fiberglass windows. So definitely don't be fooled by the warranties. It's always better to buy based on the science of the materials. Installation is super important as well. We could talk about windows all day long, but if you don't have the right installation behind it, then that can greatly affect the performance. And definitely consider more than just the colors. The aesthetics of the windows. A lot of times when you replace windows, particularly with vinyl, they have to make the frames thicker. So a lot of times you're losing your view. You're losing a little bit of the daylight that was into your home. Maintenance is a big concern with some of the products out there. Again, there's a lot more to consider than just the color of the window. So we'd be happy to kind of walk you through this for anybody that wants to see the process. And like you said, we have plenty of case studies and pictures to kind of show the difference in the materials and how color does play into the longevity of the decision that you're making, improving your home with replacement windows.
Yeah. And I'll try, like I mentioned earlier, I'll try to link some of that below in the podcast. So Ted, one of the things that the sales in our sales meetings, they've been ending some of the meetings with a joke. So I thought we could end our podcast with a joke. So
okay.
You got any window jokes for our podcast listeners?
I've got a few window jokes. I've always got some window jokes. So yeah, I know a person who jumped through a window without getting hurt. They said it was painless.
Oh, wow. Wow. Not as painless as that joke, Ted.
Hey, well, since it's cold, I'll throw another one out there.
Okay.
A wife texted her husband on a cold winter morning. She said, "Window's frozen, one open." So the husband texts back, "Gently pour some lukewarm warm water over it and then gently tap the edges with a hammer." About 10 minutes later, the wife texts back, "The computer's really messed up now."
Oh, wow. Wow. That's great. Well, if you want more information on windows or you want to hear some more corny jokes, be sure to like and subscribe and follow Window Wisdom podcast, and I will include that in the link below. But thank you, Ted, for helping us kick back off our Window Wisdom podcast.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thanks to all of our listeners.